Look, podcaster burnout is real. Honestly, I see every single day. I'm fortunate enough to work with that many podcasters that I see kind of all of the ups and all the downs and all the lefts and all the rights that podcasters go through. And believe me, podcaster burnout is real. So today we're going to talk about how you can avoid that. This is the Podcast Accelerator. I'm your host, Mark Asquith, CEO of Rebel-Based Media, that British podcast guy and creator, along with my compatriot and brother-in-arms, Mr. Kieran McKeefery, creator of Captivate.fm, the world's only growth-oriented podcast host, where you can benefit from weekly feature releases, hosting of unlimited podcasts, unlimited shows, advanced analytics, and everything that you would expect from a podcast host for just one simple cost per month. No more paying for what you don't need. And guess what? We're pretty good at support too. We're real people. We treat you like real people. So go and check it out if you're in the market for a new podcast host, or maybe you're just annoyed with your current one. Go and check it out for 7 days free at Captivate.fm. Now, the podcasting world, it's just blowing up, isn't it? It really is just blowing up. Like everyone says, oh, it's the golden age of podcasting. It's the golden year of podcasting. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The reality is that podcasting as a medium is still tiny. It is still tiny, but it is growing every single day. And it's got another 4 or 5 years before it becomes the big, really big industry that we fully expect it to be. Having said that, because it's growing so quickly, obviously more and more people are getting into it. And the trouble with that is that to make your show stand out, you've got to do even more work. And guess what? With work comes just complete fatigue if you're not careful. So we're going to talk about that and how to avoid burning out from that in just 1 second. But before we do that, one of the tools that I use to help me to automate some of the work, especially kind of the marketing work that we do, especially here at Rebel-Based Media and obviously with this show as well. One of the big things that I use is AWeber, my email marketing platform. Now, they've created an amazing platform for podcasters where you can build your own email list, you can build onboarding campaigns to welcome people to your email list, and they've created a free and very easy to use, very easy to automatically implement onboarding campaign for podcasters. So if someone signs up to your list, you can automatically send them a series of emails over the course of a few days or weeks that welcomes them to your show. Now, this is really, really simple. So I want you to go and try AWeber because you need to own your data. So go and try AWeber at markasquith.com/AWeber. Now, podcasting is hard. Regardless of what you say, regardless of what you think, that whole, well, you can just turn a microphone on and off you go. Right, I get that. But to be a podcaster and to grow your podcast is hard. And most podcasters, at least independent podcasters like you and me, we're producing our shows in spare time around jobs, study, and just real life. And with so much to do and so much cropping up every single day in podcasting, how do you avoid podcaster burnout? And it really is a challenge. Now, of course, there will be people that argue the point that, well, podcasting's not that hard, is it? Because all you do is you record into a microphone and you publish it. Yeah, I get that. That's like saying you're a golfer just because you can hit a golf ball that goes broadly forward. In order to get better, in order to grow and hit your targets, and in order to maybe monetize, you have to put more effort in than just recording. You've got to plan your show. You've got to record your show. You've got to edit the show. You've got to market the show. You've got to strategize the show. You've got to maybe book guests. You've got to plan your content out. There's so much that you've got to do. That's not even counting monetization, managing sponsors, managing patrons, managing your social accounts. That's not counting any of that stuff. Now, you can't grow your podcast without any of that stuff. And again, I know a lot of people say, well, just hire a VA. You can only hire a VA if you've got the money to pay for it. And so many podcasters don't have that. Okay. So the bottom line is that so many independent podcasters, I would say that most independent podcasters are one-person shops. You know, like you and me, we're one-person shops. I record this show, I produce this show, and the only thing that I don't do, I'm very fortunate to have someone help me to do this, is the publishing. Sam helps me with the publishing, and I'm very, very grateful for that. She'll take this episode, she'll tag it, stick it on Captivate, and then we'll put some social posts out. But everything else I do. And it's tough. Even for two of us, it's tough to stay on top of it. And the thing is, a lot of people will tell you to grow your show. You know, in order to do this, you've got to do this. In order to do that, you've got to do that. In order to achieve these goals, you've got to do these 10 things. And you are going to burn out. Okay? You will burn out, but you can avoid it. And the thing to do is just to be really, really clear okay, with what you want to achieve. And I think this is the number one tip for avoiding podcaster burnout. I'm always a fan of making clear decisions. And what I mean by that is that, when you're in business, you've always got to have a vision of where you want to go. You've got to have a place that you want to end up, and you've got to have a very clear focus of how you're going to get there. Now, once you've got that in mind, and it's the same with your podcast, you can then make decisions based on that focus and that vision. So everything that comes across your desk, every opportunity, every question about whether you should or shouldn't do something, all you have to do is say, well, does this get me one step closer to my goal, to my vision? And if it does, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. And it's the same with your podcast. If someone says to you, do you know what, it'd be fantastic if you did more episodes. All right. Well, does this get me one step closer to my ultimate goal? Probably not. Doing more episodes probably doesn't do anything for you. Genuinely. It probably doesn't do anything for you. So don't do it. All right. So many people think they should start multiple shows, which is great if you love it and if you can do it, or you want to spin a hobby show up or whatever. But a lot of people want to add content. So what they'll do is they'll say, well, I'm just going to turn my show from a once a week to a twice a week. Why? Why not put any spare time that you've got to be able to do that into marketing your current podcast and generating better numbers for that? Because that's when your prices go up for your sponsorship and so on and so forth. Now, the way to avoid that burnout is to make sure that you are completely clear what you want to achieve from that show. Okay, is it monetization? Is it monetization via sponsorship? Is it monetization via Patreon or listener support? Is it monetization through other means? Selling on the back end, selling courses or whatever, building your email list and so on and so forth. Is it positioning? Is it networking? Is it to get free stuff? Do you want to get press passes to Comic-Con? You've got to have a goal in mind for that. And then what you need to do is understand which activities you need to do. So obviously you're going to have to plan your episodes, okay? But then you can come up with formats and formulas and processes that allow you to plan your episodes in a little bit more of a strategic and easy and efficient manner, okay? So you've got to plan your episode. You've got to record it. Yes, you might have to edit it as well. And then you've got to publish it. Like those things you have to do. Like they're the basics. But then, of course, you've got to market the show, okay? So you've got to figure out, actually, rather than just saying, I need to do quote-unquote marketing, well, ultimately, where do you need to market the show? What I'm talking about here is that you can't be everywhere. If you're on limited time and you don't want to get burnt out, you can't market to every single platform. You can't be in every single group. You can't be on every single forum. But if you want to talk to business owners and your show is aimed at getting those and turning them into leads, then you better bet your ass that you're going to be on LinkedIn. Just do LinkedIn. That is it. Pick your battles, all right? You're not going to burn out if you do that. The other options that you've got when it comes to this sort of thing as well is to consider, actually, could I change the format of my show? So, for example, let's assume that you've got 5-6 hours a week to spend on your podcast, and you're producing a weekly show that takes 3 or 4 hours a week, and, you've got an hour or two rest and left over for marketing. What about if you did seasonal shows? What about if you did, 4 seasons of 6 episodes every single year, and you maybe blitz them out in 2-3 weeks, but then you've got the rest of the year to market those episodes? There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that, and you could generate much better traction perhaps by doing that, because you've got to understand that without marketing, your show isn't going to grow, but that's where you're going to burn out, because you'll believe all you need to do is keep producing. And that's great. You feel good for doing so, but you will burn out through everything around your show. So pick your battles. Pick exactly what you need to do. Maybe trim down the quality of the editing. Perfection is not the goal here. All it needs to be is great content and well-produced, highly produced enough that people don't notice that it's not well-produced enough, all right? You don't have to be NPR. It just has to be good content with good production levels. Not the best production levels, just good, okay? Maybe you can trim 30 minutes or an hour off your week by doing that. So you've got to consider this, all right? And I want to talk a little bit more about this throughout the year. I'm going to kind of keep digging into this, where you can trim, where you can become more efficient, where you can become more effective in your podcast. But ultimately, I want you to just start thinking vision. Where do I want to be? What activities will take me towards that goal? And then stop doing the things that won't. Just, you see something on social media that other people are doing doesn't mean that you have to do it. Assess it. Does this get me one step closer to my goal? If yes, I'll do it. If no, I won't do it. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to get at here. You don't have to do too much. It's just about picking your battles, doing the right thing. And that is how you avoid podcaster burnout, okay? Now, that's quite a high-level look at it. I am going to get more into the weeds on this as time progresses, but I think it's a very interesting one to start with, and I just want to start seeding that into your mind, all right? So just consider that when you're planning and strategizing your show over the next 12 months, all right? So thank you for joining me. Look, I always enjoy doing this. I'm sat in the studio here in Sheffield, here at Rebel Base Media, looking out on Sam and Kieran and the team just building out Captivate. We're working on Podcast Websites version 3, the managed WordPress platform for podcasters. Of course, we've got some productivity news coming soon as well. So I really appreciate everyone that's supported us throughout the last few months, the last 12 to 14 months, really, in the vision of repositioning Rebel Base Media as the go-to technology company for podcasters in the UK and beyond. And also just supporting us in that kind of audacious goal of having a number of brands sitting under the Rebel Base Media banner, each with its own team, each with its own product lead. Kieran and I have worked very hard to make that a reality, and now it is. I'm very, very grateful for you. You know who you are. The people that email me, the people that tweet me, the people that DM me. I get that every day, and you'll know if you are one of those people. So I just want to say personally, thank you so much for that. And of course, tell people about this show. Let them know. Give us a review on Podchaser. I would highly recommend that you go and follow me and the show over on Podchaser and tell people about it. Let people know if they're into podcasting that this is one of the industry shows that they need to be listening to. And until the next time, thank you so much for joining me. As always, I'll see you next time, and never forget, the more you expect from yourself, the more you will excel.